Hello, my dear friends. This is Dr. Suresh Shendvi, and welcome to Aspire 32. Today, once again, I have a very important podcast, and I'm glad that we have one of a very close friend of mine who guided me during my NBD application process, especially when I was planning for a residency. And she is extremely good in writing. She is a communication and marketing professional with experience in writing for dental and medical and MBA application. And today I am happy to introduce you all of you, Kanika Samra. And it is pleasure to have you on this podcast, ma'am. And I'm glad that you are speaking with us, sharing your knowledge regarding especially the statement of purpose, which students find it very difficult to understand at the beginning of the process for the application for various courses.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Dr. Shenvi. It's a pleasure to be here. And you're absolutely right. The most stumbling block in most applications happens to be the statement of purpose, because you're all professionals, you're all very well trained, you're coming from India, you have so much experience, clinical experience, but and that reflects in your application. The process is such that it has to show there, but it's the essay part, which is the statement of purpose, where people sometimes get stuck. And that's where we got in touch because of that. And I've spoken to a lot of other people who are your colleagues, your friends, and helped them write their application statements as well. So it's been a very, very interesting and fulfilling process for me as well, not just for the applicants.
Yeah. And of course, I am sure many people have some idea regarding SOPs, that is statement of purpose. But generally, we all speak a lot about the NBD exam, especially for the dentistry, the INBD. And we think about this statement of purpose at the end. So that is the idea behind the making this video, ma'am, that regarding the statement of purpose. I want you to explain to my viewers in a very simple way what exactly is this statement of purpose mean.
So the statement of purpose, the best way to think of it is as a very short essay. It is 50 to 100 characters. That's usually the word limit in the ADA and the application, and that translates to about 800 words. It's a very short essay where you have to present parts of yourself that are not visible in your professional resume or in your CV or in your exam results. So this is the best place to show the committee that is going to decide on your admission, why are you so motivated to come to the US? What about you as a person should appeal to them? And it's a very it can be confusing. Sometimes it's difficult to find a place to start, because all of us think we don't have anything special to talk about, or we haven't done great things in our lives. But there is always something in everyone's life, in everyone's story, that can be compelling to the other person. So my job, is to help you identify what is it that you can pick up to write that essay. So the statement of purpose is a very short personal essay. Always think of it like that. Unless an application asks, sometimes applications, and this doesn't apply to dentistry, but it applies to certain other times, they will ask specific questions in a statement. Tell us this, tell us your research interests. So if a statement is specifically about research, then of course we know what we want to write about. But when it doesn't specify that, then just think of it as a personal essay to emphasize how your story began, how you began down this path of dentistry, and why are you excelling in it.
So it is basically writing like a story about yourself or your journey in a very limited number of words. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct. Yes, that's the concise and precise way to say it. Yes.
Okay. So I'm sure it would be very difficult to compile your journey in few words, and especially when I thought about statement of purpose, I thought it must be very simple, because we concentrate so much about clearing the exams. Then we think about all this, whatever requirement is needed to be fulfilled with your application. So when I read online about the statement of purpose, there is so much of information that we really find it difficult what to include in your the essay and what not to include. Can throw some light regarding how the information should flow in this statement of purpose, then it would be really helpful for the viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Just like any story has a beginning, middle, and end, I always think of the structuring a personal essay or a statement of purpose like that. So think of the beginning, the first inspiration that you got or that you received that motivated you to join dental school, dental college, whether you were in India or wherever else in the world you studied. So it's always that first motivation. It can be something that happened in school in science class. It can be something personal, an experience of going to the dentist. So always start with something that really motivated you to go and begin this journey. Then in the middle, it is great to, and it is useful to encapsulate in a very brief paragraph your professional achievements so far. What have you done to be ready for this medical residency or for this dental residency? What have you done to prepare yourself for it? And that's usually the body of the middle of your SOP. And then the end of the SOP is what are your aims and why is it that applying to this program or hoping to study in the US and then maybe even practicing in the US, why is that going to be beneficial for you? And what will the community gain from it? Like, what are you bringing to the program as your own experience that will be beneficial for them? Like, give them a reason to include you in their program. So those are the three things in which I try to structure an SOP.
So I'm sure we all can write it on our own, but you have been a professional helper for everyone when they approach you for writing. Uh, how exactly you think about writing this SOP? Do you talk to them, you listen to them, and then write it? Because I assume if I plan to write it on my own, then I have so many stories which I can imagine. But how do you actually, because you have been doing it for so many years, so what is the process you go through before writing the final SOP?
Oh yeah, that's a good question, and I'd love to share that with you. My process is it's kind of a three-step process. So the first is say you have written to me and you've approached saying that you need help. I usually set up a one-on-one call, just like we are talking right now, and I try to talk to the applicant, asking them, what is their timeline for application, what are their requirements, and is it just the SOP, and what is the plan? And then I send a list of 10 questions. Either I talk to them if we have the time, then I will talk to them and I'll ask them a series of 10 questions where I will note down information. Often I will also email the same list because you might think of something later that you can add to it. So that's where I ask about, your motivations for joining dentistry. What are so various things. I have a list of questions that I ask. And then we finally talk again or meet one more time and I write a draft for them. So I usually write one draft and then I edit it. So that's the kind of the 3 or 4 step process. I do love to listen to people and I love to talk to them, because when I am listening to you telling me your story, and you might be thinking, as you just said, you might think of 3 or 4 instances, I can tell you which one will tie in with the next. What did you do next in your career, and maybe there's a better way to tie that in. So I can help identify what are the threads we can connect in that 3-part SOP that we are going to write. So it is a very one-on-one process. I try to make it as personalized as possible. I understand you can get help and you can write it on your own, but you don't want to write a cookie cutter SOP. It should reflect your personality. So I try to make it as personal as possible.
The obvious question here is, when I was writing the SOP, I had thought maybe I should completely omit any negative experience or any negative things which happened in my journey, because I always felt maybe the other person do not want to listen to our failures. And that was my myth. And you told me that that is what is important, that you have to tell me everything, and whatever best fits there, you will include it. So what are the important, maybe 5 important things which a student should think before they write or they approach you for writing? What should be the 5 things which they can note down, which can help the process of writing SOP simpler?
Sure, that's a very, very good question. So I'll think and I'll talk about it. Well, first is, of course, think about your first motivation. And I'll say this, I don't know if it is appropriate, you can cut it out later. But I found often in India, we have a common entrance exam for medicine and dentistry. So the aspiration is always to go to medical school. If you don't get medical school, a lot of us will settle for dental school. But and that's a very common way. And in India, we've always been pushed by our parents to do engineering or to do medicine. So sometimes people find it very hard to look for their own motivation, like what motivated me to do this, not my parents. So that is the one stumbling block. So always just try to think really hard, even if your parents were the driving force for you to sit for those exams. There must have been something inside you. Maybe you liked biology, maybe you liked chemist, just going to the lab and doing experiments, like what kept you going. So try to think about that, because in the American system, they don't understand, and you obviously don't want to tell them that I wanted to be a doctor but I became a dentist. So think about one motivation, any one motivation that you can find. Then of course look at your resume, look at which college you went to, and think about what are the other things you did outside of dentistry. Like you did community health, a lot of you have all done community service in as part of your curriculum, and so you've done free clinics and you've done free checkups for people in the community. Always think of those things. Then think of research and think of papers that you might have tried to write, or abstracts that you might have written, or presentations. And think of failures also. Like, is there a time where you were completely demotivated? Was there a procedure that you could not succeed at? Was there some any kind of stumbling block? So think of that. And then of course think of the motivation for applying to the US. So that's the fifth and the last thing. Of course it can be any number of reasons. It can be professional, it can be personal, it can be research, it can be a desire to do more beyond your community. Whatever it is, just think of it, be very honest, write it down, and then see, from 1 to 5, what are the things that I will pick up and write in my essay. And as you said, don't be shy of including failure, because you can say that maybe I had to write the exam 2 or 3 times and then I got admission. So that shows that you're determined, that shows that you have the strength to pursue your goal, that shows that you have the stamina to pursue it. So it was a failure, but you turned it into a success, and that in itself is a very big achievement. It might seem small to you, but it's a huge achievement. So those are the 5 things that I would identify first before even starting to write an SOP.
Yeah, and I think you have summed it really well. Of course, you can write a big story about yourself, but usually, what is your recommendation? How many pages or how many words the SOP should be generally consist of?
Right. If you're writing as a first draft, maybe try to aim for 1,000 words, and because you will then have to cut it down. The 5,200 character word limit, which is applicable to American applications, is usually translatable to somewhere between 700 and 800 words. So 5,200 characters is not the words, it's characters. It translates to about less than 800 words. So if you are writing your first draft, you can go up to 1,200 words or 1,000, 1,200 words. Don't go much beyond that, because then cutting back will be very difficult. Because once you've put in that effort of writing and of thinking and of structuring an essay, it's very hard to cut it back to absolutely bare bones. So I would say maybe write 1,000 words and then start editing, start revising the structure, start, simplifying the words. Another thing I'd like to mention is the choice of words. Like you said, it's important to choose words well, but it's also important to keep your language simple. Don't overcomplicate it, and don't use too many big adjectives. So in Indian writing, in our kind of education and our style of writing, we are motivated to use a vast vocabulary of words. And that's a way that our schooling teaches us to gain the vocabulary in English. But when you write an application which is coming to the US and you're sending your SOP to the US, You need to keep it simple and straightforward, and don't use too many different, big adjectives.
That's really informative, ma'am. And I'm sure that as the person grows, his journey continues, the story keeps on evolving. So, what I want to know here, suppose if somebody has one SOP written, maybe once they joined a DDS or a residency program, and then they are planning for the MS or maybe some other course. Do you think updating the old SOP is very much relevant, or you can just edit it on your own? What is your suggestion for that?
I think you can use your old SOP. There's no harm in using your old SOP, but always think about what is the program you're applying to and at which stage of your career you are. So you will have to change parts of that SOP. So, for instance, if that is not an application for a dental residency, like that's the first step of training, you're now going on to a specialization. Your motivation has changed. So your first introductory paragraph might have to change. You might just have to revise that and say, I've achieved this much, I've come this far, and this is the experience I've gained. And during residency, I realized that now I want to specialize in, say, ortho or something else, and and hence I'm applying for this fellowship. So just you can revise your old SOP. There's no harm in doing that because it does give you a base of material that you can use. But always think of the aim and think of the reason why you're writing. And that will guide your introductory opening paragraph as well as your closing paragraphs, because then you have to close with your intended purpose and also the benefit of accepting you to the program.
Ma'am, if you see the overall application process, how does, sometimes I wonder, because you have one page or 1 or 2 page to read about a person. But do you think, is it possible to judge a person by just reading one SOP regarding that person? Is it possible to decide? And how much weightage does the SOP in general have? Because you have been doing it for many years, and you might have spoken to so many people. May some people might have gotten SOP from someone else, and they might have come to you again for a revision or a new SOP. What is the general people's experience or opinion regarding the weightage of SOP in the selection process?
So I'll be very honest, I can't honestly say exactly how much the weightage is, but the feedback I've received from people who I've helped is that it really helped them, because I think even obviously your application has so many other elements. Your exam scores, I think, are very important. Those are probably the most important first selection barrier, right? They're going to filter you through and see who they want to call for an interview. So obviously the exam results are the first thing, and then the SOP would probably play a role. So I wouldn't say it's the first thing. The first thing are your other application components, but it does play a role because it shows who you are and the possibility of calling you for an interview. And the feedback I've received is that for people who've succeeded with crossing the first barrier, the SOP has been very helpful because it also prepares you to kind of have a story when you're interviewing. Because in your interview, you will pretty much say what your SOP says. And if your SOP is well written and if your SOP is very clear, if it has a clear story and a clear emphasis on your strengths and what your failures were and your weaknesses and how you've overcome them, then you can talk about them with confidence in your interview. Say somebody reads, and often that can happen. People can say, okay, in your SOP, you wrote you did this. Tell us more about it. Or, so I think those kinds of things are helpful because think of it as a way of preparing yourself also to tell your own story.
So usually students might think about SOP at the last. Do you recommend them that they should think about SOP before, even they prepare for the exam, or maybe they can always start writing about SOP once they are done with because how much time do you generally take to help someone to write the SOP?
I usually require a lead time of about 2 weeks. So if I'm talking to you today, I will give you, return your SOP to you in 2 weeks. So I do require some time because I don't want to rush the process. So I would say don't start at the last minute. Like if you're planning to submit the application in July, don't start writing the SOP, just 2 weeks prior. At least start planning it in April or, May. Have at least 2 months where you can think about it, you can write it, and you can even revise it. So I would say, of course, when you're writing and preparing for your exams, focus 100% on them. But if you think of things, maybe create a little list of ideas, because something might strike you while you're studying or while you're, so just make a list of ideas and then use the last 2 months before you finally finish your application to write your SOP. Like, don't do it in the last week. That will be a little difficult and very stressful. Not to, forget that. It's very stressful.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving all the required information regarding the SOP. And viewers can also note that ma'am does help to write SOP, but in a professional way. And if you need help with the writing, you can always communicate with her on LinkedIn profile, and it will be put in the description. I once again thank you, ma'am, for giving your time and sharing your experience. And I'm sure if the viewers have any questions, they will always mention in the comment section, and I can always contact you and get few more information. Thank you for your time, ma'am.
Thank you so much for calling me. It's been enjoyable for me as well. Thank you so much.